Hi, I am retired professional triathlete, TJ Tollakson, CEO of Diamond Bikes. We are filming today in front of no studio audience. It's just Landon filming me at the Diamond Bikes World Headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa. But that being said, we had a special request just today. So Greg Mathis wanted to know about tire pressure. What should his tire pressure be? So we are going to explore what tire pressure you should be running. And the first thing that I have to say is, in regards to triathlon racing, there are a couple different things. During a race, you're probably trying to optimize your tire pressure to do two things. One, decrease your rolling resistance of the bike, and two, increase or improve the aerodynamics of the bicycle. Okay, so those two things are in consideration. What should it be?
You tell me.
Let's get a little history. When I first started racing, there was this belief that tubular tires were way better than clincher tires, and I've been trying to dispel that myth ever since I started racing, backed by science and science only. Tubular tires have always been really slow and really unaerodynamic. The advantage a long time ago, in the ancient days when I started racing 20 years ago, was that the rim technology had not caught up to the tire technology. So if you wanted to run a clincher rim, it was most likely this zip or head or some other wheel that was really skinny, and it had an aluminum hoop all the way around it where the braking surface was. It's the only way they could make a clincher. So when those improved and Zip launched the Firecrest carbon clincher rim, all of a sudden clinchers took over. Now if you're running a tubular tire for a triathlon, you need to update your equipment. But it's hard. So, what tire pressure should you run? I default to who I believe is one of the biggest experts in this area, and that is Josh Portner. Now, Josh and I go way back. So Josh, for a long time, was the head engineer at Zip. And Josh left Zip and he actually bought Silca, the Italian pump company. So Josh is super heavily invested in aerodynamics, performance, and now more than ever, air pressure. So Josh has had some really cool innovations in this, but one of the things he has is on the Silca website, he has an online calculator that will tell you what your optimum tire pressure should be. Now we need to know a few things before we get into this, and so Josh's calculator will run through all this with you. But one, we need to know the weight of you plus the weight of your bike and all your gear, everything that you're riding with. Now this is really important because typically when you're riding your bike, it's not just you and your bike, but it's you, your bike, your water bottles, your food, everything else, packed down like a mule, ready to do an Ironman. That weight is really important. And don't lie about it. You're not doing yourself any favors by lying about your weight in this calculator here.
I'm muscular.
But who are you kidding, Will? You're one sandwich away from fat.
Yeah, right. It's true, Will. You have put on weight. What?
Once you have that calculated, the next thing you want to know is what type of road surface you're riding on. Now, Josh has a bunch of different variables. Super smooth asphalt to normal asphalt with some cracks in it is probably the one most people are going to pick because that's most roads in the US. Whatever you're choosing for your road surface, it's important because tire pressure will have an effect on how fast the bike rolls over rough roads versus smooth roads. Okay, so after those two things, the next input has to do with your wheel diameter. So for these, it's 700C or 29-inch mountain bike. It's about the same. Excuse me. We have our wheel diameter. Now the next thing is we need the actual width of the tire. Now this is not, when I say the actual width, it's not what's printed on the sidewall here, right? This is the actual width. And we have two different ways to measure that. The most precise way, accurate way to measure that, precise and accurate, would be a nice set of calipers. So we can get the calipers out. And we want to measure the tire boom, just like that, the actual width of the tire. So this one is a 23 millimeter GP 4000, and it is 24.78 millimeters on this rim. This back tire is a 25 millimeter Continental GP 5000. And boom, this one right here is 27.06 millimeters wide. This one right here is a 25 millimeter Continental Ultra Sport training tire. And boom, this one is 27.04. Got one last tire to measure right here, just to show the difference of the rim as well as the tire. This is a 28 millimeter wide Red Crown Opal rim and a 25 millimeter Michelin Power Road tubeless tire. This one happens to measure at 28.44. So you can see the massive difference in what the tire says on it versus what it actually measures. Now Josh has a really cool tip. If you don't have one of these cool little digital caliper gauges, you can do everything you need with a metric tape measure. Take a paper clip, undo the paper clip.
Okay. Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
And then what you want to do with the paper clip is you want to bend this around the width of the tire, just like so. Now it's really tricky because you need this to measure without pushing in or out. So you're going to take a little while to do it with this method. Okay, so there, that's basically how wide it is. Take my tape, a little over 25 millimeters. This was my 23, so you can see it's fairly accurate. The next input that you need on here is going to be your speed. Why is the speed important? Because the faster you're going, the higher the tire pressure you're going to want to optimize your speed. And he doesn't have actual miles per hour on it. He breaks it down into kind of funny categories, with the fastest being Pro Tour, the next being like Cat 1, 2, 3 race. Fast group ride is slower after that. The last input on there is how your weight is balanced as you're riding. And so if you're on a triathlon bike, your weight's gonna be balanced much more 50-50. And so he has that as an input, or you could do road riding, gravel, mountain bike riding, and it will change the balance of the weight on the bike. But for triathlon specifically, we're looking at mostly a 50-50 weight balance. So we input all those things in the calculator. If I'm 185 pounds on my bike, loaded down with water, food, everything, woven pavement, that's right. What kind of pavement is that? We're riding on rugs?
This rug I have, it really tied the room together.
Worn pavement, some cracks. 25 millimeter would be the front tire on here, 25 millimeters. That tire, 700C, Pro Tour speed, 50-50 for triathlon, TT, or track bikes. It's telling me to run my front tire at 94.5 and my rear tire at 94.5. If I add an extra 5 pounds for my off-season weight, which really isn't 5 pounds right now, but we'll just do this as an exercise.
Sure, Jan.
So at 190, it's telling me to use 83.5. So if I'm 5 pounds heavier, I can put slightly more PSI in my tires because I'm going to depress them just a little bit more with my weight. But I use Josh's tire calculator as my kind of guide in what I need to do. You can see that the tires vary widely, and we're talking about a few things here. We're talking about optimal tire pressure for speed right now. There are a whole bunch of variables to get into, which we will cover in another video with aerodynamics versus rolling resistance in tires.
Can't wait.
I highly recommend going to Josh Portner's tire pressure calculator. You can find it online. We'll put a link to it, but silca.cc is his website. Josh is a mad genius with this stuff. I say I settle with Josh Portner. I'm using this Silca website to calculate my tire pressure. And let's talk about some of the advantages of having lower tire pressure. So lower tire pressure means just that when we put our weight on the tire, it deflects more out than it does long, so the contact patch is less surface area, so that's improved rolling resistance. It also means that we have some improved handling when we're on the bike. So having a lower tire pressure and a wider tire is a lot more stable, and it also provides a lot more cushioning, so shock absorption when you ride. If anybody remembers racing 20 plus years ago on tubular wheels, very skinny tires at 180 PSI, you probably remembered bouncing up and down the road thinking, wow, this is not very comfortable. So we've got a lot more comfortable, we've got a lot more faster, tires continue to get faster and faster. And if you're wondering, our Red Crown Cycling barrel wheels, which are our signature rims, 88 millimeters deep, 27 millimeters wide, and yes, the wind tunnel results are out there, as well as the rolling resistance. This rim was designed by us to be optimized with a Continental GP 5000 tire. And so we wind tunnel tested it to be faster than the Zip 858 NSW wheel with that same tire on it. So we looked at it the opposite way and said, hey, if this Continental GP 5000's the most popular time trial tire out there right now for triathletes in terms of aerodynamics, rolling resistance, puncture protection, we want to design the rim to be used with the most popular tire. Other thing to really note, there is no difference in rolling resistance between running a tire tubeless, the same tire tubeless, and running the same tire tubeless versus having an latex inner tube installed in it. So there is some difference in terms of tire rolling resistance between like the Conti 5000 and the Conti 5000 TL. And so you want to pay attention to that. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have an idea on how to measure the width of your tire and a better idea of what pressure you should be running for everyday riding and racing.